don't think so.
Oh, happy hump day, everybody. Right?
Right.
Okay.
Marvella.
Where's Vela? Need my Vela. Remind me, it's hump day. So, all right, cool. So this is obviously our sales meeting for Wednesday, the 25th. Got some cool stuff to talk about, but as is our tradition, we kick things off with our core partners. Sounds like Dawn is not available and John's not here yet, so we'll defer to Mr. Payday himself, Mr. Brian McCarty. So if you have some good news you'd like to share, you are more than welcome to it. And let me just point out that the reason we start with our core partners is because they may want to leave early. And so we let them, go ahead and get the business out of the way. That's kind of the thought behind it. So they're hopefully processing our deals and closing our deals as quickly as they can. So, hey, Holly, Mama, Stacia, big screen. Yeah, cool. So, all right, Brian, what you got, man?
Sharon, I know we're doing one here at 3:30, so
Yeah.
I'm ready. I got the package, but I'll be back here. So good. Prosperity's on that deal. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yay.
Oh my God, that was a nightmare, but I'll be there later.
Okay, sounds good. We have in a drawing, $25 to Starbucks. It says, okay, yeah, it doesn't give the amount, but I'm told it's $25.
That's awesome, man.
I
That's
guess
really
we should
cool.
Do the wheel.
Yeah, we can do the spinning wheel, Stacia,
Yeah.
like we talked about.
I'm working on it.
Okay,
Okay.
great. That's awesome.
Sit there.
That's awesome. Let's see what we have today. So like I said, we have a closing here later today, so that's awesome. Michael Gray, I see you here today. We've had a couple with you. So thank you.
Payday, 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 payday.
And
Love those
May.
paydays.
Let's see, we're doing May. Sharon, I know you had two at least in May, and we're gonna have another one. So keep rolling, so thank
Those
you.
paydays coming.
Set the
That's right.
share for you
That's how we make a
later.
living, ain't it?
Let's see.
Yeah.
CMD had one, and this month, Sandy.
Yeah, Sandy.
Hey,
So excited about that.
Yay, yay.
Very excited about that.
Let's see, Josh had one.
Yep,
So
yep, yep,
that's good.
yep. That's awesome. Got another one coming up.
Another one coming up this week, yeah.
Good job, bro.
And we got,
Yeah.
let's see, who else here? Josh Marvella,
Vela,
Marvella,
yay.
Marvella. That's awesome. Let's see, we're just talking about May now, but June, okay, so you're coming. Let's see,
Next
anybody
month.
else on the call for May?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. So that's great, that's great. We're having another class. We just got the flyer today.
Oh,
And I sent it over to Stacia. I think you got it, Stacia. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So it's gonna be on closing the foreign seller. Another exciting topic, but it is for 2 hours. So you get PLE or CE for free, no cost.
it's a 2-hour class.
2-hour class.
Is that the FERPTA?
FERPTA, yes, and
Foreign
that does come.
investment, something,
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, I've run into that occasionally. Have y'all?
No,
Not yet.
never.
Well, it's out there and it's, we did one, it was $1 million house and they were foreign sellers. And they required 20% holdback off the top, which is a
Wow,
lot of money. So it's a good class
wow.
to get involved with. And then there's some tips on how to price your listings
Wow,
to avoid that.
okay,
There are foreign sellers.
okay.
So it'll be a good class and we appreciate everybody who signed up or did the signing authority class. That was a good one. So we just keep rolling them out every month.
Yeah, a question about that. I
Yes.
wanted to attend that class, but I got distracted.
Yes.
So are they recorded?
I have the outline I can send you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be helpful.
Yeah, I don't know if they're, I know he records, but I don't know if I'm able to forward that. I can
Right.
ask Matt
Right,
and
right.
see, but I do have the outline.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. So that's what we're gonna be doing every month, rolling the classes, free CE, PLE.
Okay.
What else is going on? Trying to think, it's just been really busy, really busy.
So, well, I mean, we've seen a little bit of a downturn in terms of units. Are you guys getting any relief, or are you seeing that across the area?
You know, it did seem like it slowed down a little bit, but then it seems like it's picked back up a bit.
That's kind of what the guy in this morning's meeting said, you know, they felt like it was trending down until, you know, then people started freaking out about the interest rates and they wanted to buy real quick. And so now he's seeing, you know, in March, they saw it tick back up again.
Yeah.
The activity,
So
so.
we appreciate it. It's nice to see some folks here. You know, all of you on the call, I encourage you to come on in if you can,
In person's better.
you know.
It's the only way to collect your payday.
Yeah. But, you know, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, cool.
So we'll do the drawing.
All right, let's spin the wheel, Stacia.
In the wheel.
Around and around and
I
around.
know I'm gonna get it this time. I'm gonna get it this time. I'm gonna get it. No,
Randall.
got it.
Oh, awesome, Randall.
Nice, dude.
Let's see
Congrats.
where we put it.
Congrats.
Yay,
Congrats.
Randall!
Here it is, Randall. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you all. We-
25
Your
bucks.
support.
Awesome,
Yeah.
man. You could probably split that.
I was gonna say, what are you doing to start?
Yeah.
Very cool. Who was on the appraisal webinar this morning? It was awesome. Holly, you were on it. Mom was on it. We were on it here
Really
in
good.
the office. It was excellent. A lot of good information came out of that. Obviously, there's some adjustments to the standards, the ANSI standards, and how they determine square footage or gross living area. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of pushback we get when we use the square footage that was used in the MLS by the last 6 agents, you know, or even the tax record sometimes is going to differ from the way they now calculate gross living area or square footage.
Did it have to do with what agents?
It did, yeah. Yeah, very much. And so we've had a lot of discussion around appraisals, right? I mean, we had this class today. Angie Miller was here just a few days ago, who's a local appraiser. And then I think last week, you know, Long and Foster had a company-wide appraisal discussion. So lots to talk about. Anything. I thought it was interesting though. Anything, even in a split level, anything below grade is not considered in the GLA, you know, square footage. So it's going to be on a separate line item, which I thought was, that's going to, I mean, there are some properties, I mean, that's going to have a major impact on.
Like the older properties that the upstairs has those.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's the whole
Where
V-shaped
they
ceiling
actually,
too.
right.
Yeah, like Kelly, or not Kelly, but Candy was asking that question about, you know, it's got 3 foot of 7 foot ceiling, but then it starts to slope down. And so now anything under that 5 foot ceiling is going to be discounted. So I mean, that could make a big impact on some rooms, those bonus rooms, frogs, for example, sometimes. Yeah, I think that's interesting. Cool. Duty schedules are online for those of you who are interested.
Oh, John just got in.
Hey, John.
Hey, guys.
We were just talking about the appraisal meeting this morning and how valuable that was. So, and of course, you always ask the hardest questions, they say. So.
Well, I think it's one of those questions I've always, asked is like, how's it fair that an appraiser gets to cut, dice and slice the square footage on our property, but everyone else's house, they just use so what's on the MLS. Like, obviously that's not fair, right? And like what he said was that depending on the GLA, if you have a big open foyer, for example, it could be huge discrepancy in square footage when in essence it might be the same house. So I always just was curious about that. And so I'm glad he answered that question, but that call was really informative. I've been on several of those calls. Derek is really, really good. I mean, and when he said he's available all the time, I call Derek all the time. I text him. I mean, he is always available and he always wants to jump in and try to help, which I know you would say like, oh, it sounds like, of course he is. Of course that's his job. But the ability to have him help and be sympathetic to our cause and want to assist and want to have the same goals that we have, meaning, you know, appraisals be accurate and try to come as close to value as possible. I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. Like, I can't tell you how valuable having an engaged appraisal team is. And when you're dealing with another company who uses an appraisal management company or doesn't have an engaged appraisal team, especially in this market, it's a huge difference. I'm lucky that we have the team that we have. So I guess, does anybody have any other questions or follow-up questions to that appraisal discussion, or things that they thought of afterwards, or anything in general? No? Okay.
No?
Well, good. Well, just to follow up on that, obviously we talk a lot about appraisals today, so we don't need to really talk about that much anymore. We will send out that appraisal coupon, which will be helpful to the people that attended. You know, as far as everything else mortgage related, things are pretty much as we left it last meeting. Rates have kind of stayed about the same. So what we haven't seen is a continued increase, so which is good since the last meeting. So hopefully we'll continue to see the same, but it's kind of plateaued, hopefully, knock on wood. So we are seeing a lot of sales variances. To kind of talk about the appraisal process a little bit in our area, we're seeing a lot of appraisals come in low. It's just a product of our environment and of our market. But you know, what I am seeing a little bit more recently, I am seeing a couple contracts with closing cost assistance, which I haven't seen in a while. You know, so hopefully we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown as compared to as it was before. I think maybe, I don't know if you guys are feeling that same thing. Things are sitting on the market just a little bit longer, so which is a good thing. We want to see it come back, the market slow down a little bit to a degree, to get it more in some sort of balance between a buyer's and seller's market, because it's been totally out of whack for the last couple of years. So yeah, so everything, you know, we're looking good for the spring market. All of our operations is you know, caught up, and we're closing loans easily in 30 days. So appreciate the support.
Excellent.
Hey,
Thank you,
John, what are interest rates at right now on conventional versus VA? For like an average.
So
Decent credit.
yeah, sure. Like a conventional loan is like I'm looking at like 4.875. You know, so 4.875 ish. VA, we're looking in the mid fours, I would say. I had someone do 4.25, lock in at 4.25 yesterday, and they're paying a little bit of points, but so I mean, again, historically still low. If we can stay in the fours, like the mid fours and below, like I think that's probably a really sweet spot.
Mhm.
I don't, you know, would I love to see threes again? Of course, but I think fours. It's just something about being in the fours as opposed to being 5.2, 4.75 feels better, obviously. But hopefully we can settle into the mid fours, so meaning come back a little bit rate wise and be there. That's my hope. But yeah, that's where rates are right now.
What's your average lock right now?
My
Lock
average lock.
Lock in time.
How long I lock a loan for? So generally, it depends on when I get the contract in. If it is going to close within 30 days, I'll maybe go with a 30-day lock just to get a little better pricing. So that's, you know, that brings up a good point of whenever a lender's quoting a rate, it's based upon a certain lock time frame. So our default is 45 days, and then we get a little better at 30. And I'm talking to not the rate, I'm talking about the pricing. So like, let's say that you have to pay, if a 45-day lock, maybe you don't have to pay any points. Maybe let's just say for example, on 30-day lock, you would maybe get an 8 back, like 1.125 in like credit. And then again, if you go 60, it's just probably another 0.125 in points if 45 is par. So there's just a small adjustment. But generally, if it's even borderline 30 days or more than 32 days, I'll just go 45, because you just never know. I'd rather have that little bit of leeway. And with that said, if there's an appraisal related issue or like if it's not the buyer's fault, I mean, we do it all the time. We'll eat a couple days of extension at a branch cost. Like if it's like, 31, 32 days and I lock it at 30, Kevin will approve an extension because he's really nice, but because we don't want to pass that cost generally on to customers when it wasn't like their fault, right? But yeah, so usually it's 45 days is our default when I'm quoting rates.
Do you see people using that, what is it, lock, shop and home program? I mean, is that something that no, okay.
Not right now because rates are high. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we had some people do it back when they were going up, but now since they're kind of plateaued, and it's been that way for a couple weeks now where rates have been, there really hasn't been the demand for it because it's like, well, shoot, we're already at, almost close to 5%, because when you do the lock, shop and home, you lock in it right, probably a little bit slightly above market, but to hedge yourself against a way higher increase in the future, right? So it's almost like they're kind of gambling a little bit just to hopefully the market stays the same, which it has for the last several weeks, or slide back. So I think all signs are pointing to a kind of pullback in the economy, which again is expected, and it's somewhat will be a positive thing for us to kind of balance the market a little bit. And usually what we'll see is when we see a recession, when it comes to the stock market, generally, you'll see a improvement in bonds, which should help rates come down a little bit. Now, the one thing that's stopping that from happening is inflation, worries of inflation. So we're combating inflation worries. So as inflation numbers again plateau and start to come back down, we should see rates kind of come back down a little bit too. But when will that happen? It's really hard to say.
And so just to reiterate and confirm, I think I've heard you say before, whenever you do a pre-qualification for somebody, you're kind of considering them for all of the special programs. For example, the Buyer's Advantage program. I mean, you're looking at the whole picture. So it's not necessarily something that we need to promote or to spend time, talking to our clients about what program may or may not be best for them, because that's what you do.
For sure. I mean, we definitely, especially with the client's FHA, or we think they're going to be at a disadvantage of when they're going up. We'll potentially look to use the Buyer's Advantage. Again, most times what we see is a client who's going shopping with the real estate agent that weekend. So we'll send the pre-approval so they have it, and then because the Buyer's Advantage is going to take time to submit it to underwriting. So it doesn't always work for Buyer's Advantage. But yeah, we always discuss the programs, and we always look to try to find the best option for a customer. I mean, if it's, people are set, they're already pre-approved. They come to me and say, hey, well, I want to do 20% down because I want to avoid MI, but I'm not finding a house in the budget I want. Well, I'll say, well, let's look at 10% down and buy a house that's a little bit more expensive, maybe. And we have programs where we can avoid MI monthly and do some finance MI into the loan. So there's other things that we can we're always discussing to find the best deal for the clients, whether it be, program wise or, whatever, for having some sort of incentive or some other type of program internally. But either way, we always try to find the best path forward.
Cool. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry I was late.
So we too, I mean, as an office, we've seen some transactions now that are, buyers are getting a little bit of closing cost assistance, maybe 1%, 1.5%, something like that. The sale prices aren't going as ridiculous as they had been. We're seeing contracts come in that are, ratified at list price. We're not seeing necessarily the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over and above. Haven't really seen a lot of appraisal guarantees recently. We're seeing more traditional home inspection requests getting accepted. So it does make a difference when you only have, 1 or 2 offers to compare versus 5, 6, 7, or 8 offers to compare. So it's definitely in a state of transition, I would say. But I wanted to tell you guys an interesting story and reiterate the importance of learning your contract because we have an example of a realtor who is not with Long and Foster, but he was schooled yesterday by a Long and Foster agent. And this was, and John may be able to speak to this because it was with respect to the VA buyer being obligated to pay anything over the appraised value. So the other agent was under the impression that because it was on the contract, it was law, it was so, and could not be overturned. And so the other agent called his attorney. So the Long and Foster agent called our attorney. The two attorneys collided, and it turned out that we were right. In fact, the VA buyer is not obligated to pay more than the appraised value, even 12 hours before closing. That VA buyer has the option of not paying more than the appraised value of the property. So,
What was in the contract that made the other agent think that?
I think it was just a misunderstanding. It was just a misinterpretation. I mean, most of us have grown up thinking that, well, it's in the contract, so it must be so. But there's federal law that overrides our, local contract. And in this example,
Was there a guarantee on it?
it was.
That's what.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a $20,000 guarantee over and above the appraised value, which is what they used to win the home. But then when there was a dispute at the last minute with respect to topic number 2, violations found in the HOA inspection that the seller refused to do, then the buyer refused to pay the amount guaranteed over the appraised value. So it was a little tit for tat yesterday, and ultimately a compromise was reached. But it was interesting to have that leverage because the 3 days for the HOA docs had expired, right? And so typically that buyer would not have had any leverage, but for the fact that they were VA and had this $21,000 over appraised value guarantee, they were able to throw up and say, hey, if you're not going to take care of the HOA violations, we're not going to pay over the appraised value for the house.
That's only on VA though, right?
It was. Yeah.
FHA conventional, as long as it's in the contract, they cannot dispute it. Is that correct or not? John, is that right?
John?
That's not right. No, so again, it's a HUD amendatory clause or the escape clause applies to both FHA and VA. So
Right. FHA.
you're
also.
talking about, so I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay.
You're talking about disputing, or what are you talking about?
Obligation to pay over the appraised value. That's FHA and VA, where you cannot
That's right,
obligate them. Yeah.
Now, and Jason, you mentioned that you had a contract with VA, right?
Yes.
And they said that they said in the contract that they will guarantee the amount.
Yes.
Said actually no. Okay. Well, and again, it's there. I think every good listing agent knows that if you ratify a contract, it's FHA or VA. No matter what you put in the contract regarding an appraisal guarantee, you cannot hold the buyer's feet to the fire. It's just you can't cross it out. You can't. It supersedes anything in the contract. It's federal law, and the words they use is that the buyer has the privilege to do this guarantee and pay over and above the appraised value, but they cannot be forced to. So, conventional loans, that verbiage doesn't apply, so that the contractual language about the guarantee would be enforceable technically. But for any loan, and the key is that on the contract they have to hit FHA or VA, right? So let's say that, for example, you submit a contract that's conventional, but then they have to flip to FHA, right? Then you get this sticky gray area where they had to go FHA. They didn't tell the seller, right, that they had to switch from conventional to FHA for some reason. And then the appraisal comes in low. Well, then what do you do? Well, it's a change in terms of the contract. You're going from conventional to FHA, and now, they are getting an FHA loan. So everything gets thrown in up in the air at that point because you have to change the contract. But the good thing is that the seller has the power always, if the buyer says no in that situation, to just say, okay, well then we're going to walk away from the contract. To a degree, because you don't have to agree to lower the price. They could have said no, right? And then they would have probably end up releasing the contract and putting it back on the market. Now, I'm glad they found a middle ground, but in that situation, it's not like the seller has to reduce the price. They could have easily just said, okay, well, sorry, if you don't want to pay this price, then we'll go on to somebody else. But yeah, to be clear, that inventory clause info just applies to FHA and VA.
In this case, you know, I was not along a Foster listing. The listing agent had no idea that the VA buyer had that type of leverage. And so, you know, it worked out to our advantage.
But I mean, you should, because like, if that seller wanted to, they could take the agent before the board for incompetence.
Yeah,
They really could.
good. For not knowing.
You are supposed to know your family.
Yeah. So.
We can still put that guarantee in there, right? I mean, you're still putting the guarantee in the contract.
Yes.
What you're saying is that they didn't make their seller aware that it's possible, that it's not enforceable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was a seller, I'd be pretty upset if
The other
I was
part of
surprised
this
by that.
too was the keep in mind that you know, so many times we assume, I think sometimes some of us have made the mistake of assuming that HOA violations come up when the package comes in. We assume that the seller's obligated. The seller's not obligated to do any of those repairs. They're all negotiable. And because our contingency as a buyer with respect to that HOA pack is only good for 3 days, we essentially have those 3 days to negotiate those repairs, right? And if it is our intention for the seller to make those repairs, we should get that documented on a separate addendum. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so many times the seller will, depending on the situation, the seller will take the position that, yes, okay, I get it. Those are repairs that are being required by the HOA, and I'm going to go ahead and take care of it. But that's easy way, right? That's what we would like to see happen, but it's not required by the contract. It is negotiable. So whether it's the shutters need to be painted, or the roof needs to be cleaned, or the fence needs to be rebuilt, it is a negotiable item that needs to be documented on
Even
the
if it's a
addendum,
violation.
even if it's a violation.
Really.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. You really only have those 3 days, that contingency period, to negotiate that truce. That's all I had. So, that's it. That's all
And
we're
just
doing.
like that, and just like that, it's over, right?
Just like that. Yeah. We get to that. We get it way up here and we're done. What do we got coming soon?
Duty schedule,
I talked about that.
you know.
Yeah. So the duty schedule is online now, which seems to be working pretty well. We got rid of all those pop-ups and commercials and stuff on that website. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's nice to go in there and see what's available, who's coming in when, who to expect.
Next month's birthday and anniversary is at a different location.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so, you know, we do the birthday anniversary month every month, and we went to Buffalo Wild Wings again last week, and service totally sucked. It was horrible. And so this week, well, next month, we're gonna go to
Kickback Jacks.
Kickback
Oh, that new
Jacks
place.
over on College Drive, and give that a go. So that should be fun.
The only bad part is they don't have cheese curds.
Oh.
That's a little
But they're
depressing.
kind of like Dave and Buster's. If anybody ever went to Dave and Buster's, they're kind of cool.
If they got onion rings, that might be still okay. Okay, all right. Cool.
Jason, can we mention our upcoming listings?
Yes, please.
So I have one that's gonna be probably mid-June, over off of, what is it, Holland Road in the Kilby Shores area. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,600 square foot ranch, in the 350 range, I think.
Wow. Okay,
half acre lot, backs up onto a marsh. 100% renovated, new everything.
okay.
Yeah.
Very good. 3 bed, 2 bath.
Yes, brick.
1,600 square
No,
feet.
I'm sorry, vinyl. Yeah,
Wow,
vinyl
so
siding.
350. So if you know anybody looking,
Yeah, beautiful house, really beautiful house.
yeah,
Great curb appeal, quiet neighborhood.
okay,
Hmm.
good. Anybody else got anything?
Working on it, I guess.
John ratified a big old contract the other day. Congratulations.
Go, John. Yay.
Nice. Love it when that happens.
We've almost caught last year's sales volume for Button.
Yay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, our numbers are insane considering. Units are down, but volume is up. So it's interesting how our average sale price is well into the 400s now.
Yeah.
We'll drop one
Or
down, that's
62.
Yeah, yeah.
Sad, it's sad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The lower price bracket folks just can't compete, and all those prices are, all these are the higher price properties. Those folks that make a
I
little
have
more
4
money.
buyers on hold because of it. They freaked out and
Yeah,
said, we're just not gonna do it.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too, Kelly. I have one young lady that she simply can't find anything. I mean, by the time we do get to something, it's already gone. It's such a struggle.
It
So,
is a struggle. Anything under 350 is a hard struggle.
mhm,
Anything over that, the people could afford no matter what, technically.
right,
It's big of a struggle.
yeah.
Yeah, so 462,000 right now is our average home sale price.
Wow.
Our volume for the period is up 38%. Our volume for year to date is up 1%. We are exactly where we were, basically flat for volume last year, but the units are down for the period 13%, down year to date 18%.
Yeah, it's like 14 or 15 units.
It's kind of
difference from last year
remarkable.
this year.
Really is. Yeah, so crazy. Yeah, but $6.5 million a month. Not bad, not bad. So,
Oh, another thing, I still have my listing in Williamsburg at Jamestown 100, if anybody needs a really big house. 6 bedrooms, I forget how many bathrooms and such. I think it's at 550, 3,400 square feet or something like that. So
what do you think's held that back?
I've talked to the seller about lowering the price a little bit, so, we're probably gonna drop it some. That's the only thing I can think of.
Condition is excellent, location is excellent.
Well, the location's excellent and the condition is average, not excellent, I wouldn't say. It
Okay.
has the honey oak cabinets. But I mean, it's funny because we had one showing that said that it was too big. We had another showing that said that it was too small. So it's just gonna take that perfect buyer.
Goldilocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the backyard is not fenced, so that's an issue, with some people. But it's literally right by Jamestown Elementary School, I think, and the walking trail. So the location is really good.
What is the lot size?
I don't remember, but I can get it to you, Holly.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, gang, we're gonna cut you loose. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Congratulations, Randall, on the gift card there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Treat us all to Starbucks.
Well, happy hump day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.